Welcome back. What's going on, everybody? Rodrigo here with Asheville Cash Buyers, shooting another Whiteboard Wednesday. This is going to be the last Whiteboard Wednesday where we don't announce what title it is because we just don't know. We haven't been keeping track, but as I was kind of going over what we're going to talk about today, I realized, we're doing you a disservice by not including what number it is in case there's a reason to refer back to this episode of Whiteboard Wednesday. So moving forward, we're going to be doing Whiteboard Wednesdays. We're going to include the episodes numbers, so that way if we need to refer back to them, or if you need to refer back to it, then we'll let you know. This is going to be the start of season 2, and so it's episode 1 of season 2 actually. So get some good clarity for everybody there. We apologize, we've let you down, but we are correcting it moving forward. So, welcome, Whiteboard Wednesday, episode number 1 of season 2. So, season 2, episode number 1. We're gonna be on top of it more. I think you're really gonna enjoy just the concept and the energy we're going to be bringing to you guys a little bit more. So stay tuned and let us know what you think. It's really helpful if you give us some feedback. We're going to dice this up a little bit, and I'm going to put Nolan on the spot. We're going to cut this up a little bit so at the beginning of this video you know what we're talking about. We're talking about what are closing costs. So when somebody says, hey, I'm willing to pay your closing costs, or you ask a buyer and say, hey, can you pay my closing costs, what are you really talking about? So we're pretty much talking about 4 things, okay? There's 4 variables on a typical deal. Of course, this isn't every deal, but this is going to be most of them. So what are they? 1, you got your attorney fees. Number 2, you've got your revenue stamps, or your doc stamps. Number 3, you've got your payoff fees, like a wire fee or a payoff coordination fee. Sometimes they're together, sometimes they're different. And then number 4, you've got, this is separate than the attorney fees, but it's also it's billable hours. So we're just going to call it billable hours. And I'm going to explain this in a moment. So just so you guys know, as we're working through this, the attorney fees, in our experience, depending on the type of closing that you have and how many variables, they're usually between So in our experience, as a seller, if you're selling the property, your attorney fees typically are $300 to $350. Of course, we haven't talked to every law firm here in Asheville or Hendersonville, so that number could be a little bit off. But if it's not going to be, in theory, it's not going to be drastically different than that. And then revenue stamps or the doc stamps. There's a whole situation on how you calculate that, and that's kind of in its own episode on itself. If you're curious to know the details or the intricacies of that, that's episode number 13 of Whiteboard Wednesday, season 1. So Whiteboard Wednesday, episode 13, season 1, get into the specifics of how we calculate that. And then we got number 3, as far as what the closing costs are. This is your payoff fee. This can be, we've seen it range from $35 all the way to $150. And a lot of times that has to do with who's holding the mortgage on your property, if you have a mortgage. So if it's simple and you're just sending one wire, then it's going to be, typically it's about $35, $50. But if there's a lot of conversation that has to happen between the attorney and the mortgage company, it could be, I think the highest I've seen has been about $150. So, it can add up, something to definitely be aware of. But just keep that in mind. There is a cost associated with paying off a loan on your property. And then the last one is billable hours. This is the biggest variable you're going to run into when you're selling a property. As long as everything on your end is straightforward and you've done a good job of keeping notes of stuff, then you're not going to have any billable hours. You run into billable hours when you're talking about, like for instance, say you inherited a property and you got your brother and your sister and they live in different states and things like that, and so then the attorney has to send out documents to 3 different addresses, 6 different people have to sign, and you get into the attorney having to do a lot of extra legwork other than just preparing the documents. That's when you get into billable hours, and that can add up. I think as of right now, going rate for most attorneys are $300 to $400 an hour. So 2 hours of time and all of a sudden it's going to be your most expensive line item on your closing statement. So just keep that in mind. The more work or more running around you're willing or able to do when selling your property, if there is running around that needs to be done, then you're going to save yourself some time, unless you think your time's more valuable than say $400 an hour. But that's the variable, $300 to $400 an hour. The billable hours are important to keep in mind. I don't want anybody to be surprised by that as you go to close and you're looking at like, where did my money go? So, all right, you guys. Again, pretty simple, straightforward day today. Episode number 1 of season 2 today. Stay tuned. Let us know how we're doing. If you have any questions, reach out to us. Let us know in the comments. That'd be the best place. So that way we can answer that question for somebody else as well. Take care. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.